Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Monday, January 29th, 2024. Tractors are lining the streets in Germany. Farmers and the general public are protesting the government's agricultural policies. And in Chicago, in the U.S., supporters of Palestine gather to make their voices heard. They say the U.S. government is funding war crimes, and it needs to stop. In the new Earth, we're talking Theta healing. Accessing these brainwaves connects us to source, but how do you know you're in Theta mode? And check out this unique architecture in the India desert. This school is built from hand-carved local sandstone.
This is Calen Giff, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Farmers from Hanover, Germany came together to protest the government's agricultural policies, demanding improved conditions for crop cultivation and animal care. UNN field messenger Paul shares this event.
Hi, I'm Paul Talley, UNN field messenger from Hanover, Germany, and I'm reporting on German farmers protesting using their tractors.
Und das, was unser Bestreben ist, wir wollen fürs Land, wir wollen für unsere Familien, wir wollen für unseren Berufsstand was erreichen, und das erreichen wir in Gesprächen. Und insofern freuen wir uns auf nachher. Lasst uns einstimmen und dann viel Erfolg.
The price of diesel is one of the things that they're protesting. It continues to rise, and they are very dependent on it as there is no alternative to diesel to be used for operating tractors in the fields. The government is not addressing the issue of food security. Even though pharmaceutical medicines are guaranteed, the food security in Germany is not guaranteed. There are options for better animal living conditions, but those that have been presented have not been approved, and therefore no improvements in the raising of animals. The price of production costs continue to rise, making it more difficult, and the cost of overall food prices have increased. It has become very difficult for farms to have family businesses, and this is causing a destruction or the bankruptcy of family farms, and in the result, a complete shutting down of the farms. So the farmers are on the streets now with their tractors, blocking traffic and raising awareness that they are very important for food security and for the production and the raising of healthy crops and animals. Thank you for watching.
The United States-Palestine Community Network is protesting in Chicago, calling on the government to stop funding war crimes. UNN field messenger Erika brings us to the heart of the protest.
Hi, this is Erika, field messenger for UNN. Today, at the heart of the medical district here in Chicago, a protest is taking place. In preparation for the arrival of Jill Biden's visit, a large fleet of police vehicles flooded the area, blocking streets and sidewalks. Jill Biden and Halle Berry visited the University of Illinois Chicago to deliver a speech highlighting research on women's health. This topic is highly sensitive to the United States-Palestine Community Network, a member of the Coalition for Justice in Palestine. They were voicing and advocating the need for Joe Biden to stop funding war crimes, causing genocide, affecting women and children's well-being and health.
and mothers in Gaza and Palestine endure such pain? What does it mean to be a mother in occupied Palestine? Is giving birth in this land a crime against our children?
Okay, so I'm here today to protest for the people in Palestine. I do not agree with this genocide that's going on right now. And I am truly sorry for everything that's happening. I'm sorry that we can't help. We're trying our best. And we want to help this war genocide to be over. And inshallah, free Palestine will come soon. And I'm passionate for this genocide to end as soon as possible so we can help these people and get free Palestine.
Which is also a member in the Coalition for Chicago for Justice in Palestine. We are here today to make some noise. All our mobilizations have either invigorated people or aggravated people, right?
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. For ideas and inspiration, we encourage you to join our new Field Messenger group on Telegram. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hello, I'm Susan from Sweden.
Mwanda Michael from Eastern Uganda, Africa.
Hi, I'm Tim from Vancouver, Canada.
I'm Titeshwar from Manipur State, India.
I'm Agumba Obasi from Southeast Nigeria.
Arnaito Chakrini from Western Uganda, Mbarara.
At United Network News, you are the news.
My name's Christina, Field Messenger, report first one in the hurricane down here in Southern California from Mexico.
Real people reporting real stories from all around the world. At UNN, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Jason from United Network News. We're going to be doing some aircrete building with new technologies that allow us to live in comfort and also off the grid.
Take the next step in changing the way the world gets the news. Become a UNN field messenger today.
I am Michelle from South Africa, and we are the United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
If it is going to be, then it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Si va a ser así, depende de mí. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN.
Theta is a state of mind that gives us direct access to our Creator. It's a brainwave pattern that happens just before you fall asleep or when you've reached a deep meditative state. So how do you know when you've reached Theta? Michelle Ann Phillips is a Theta healing practitioner who is also part of our care community. So we are talking about connecting with God or Source in Theta mode. And if you're new to this, you may wonder, well, how do I know when I'm actually in Theta mode? I'm doing my meditation, but how do I know when I've reached that place? So Michelle, how do we know once we've arrived there?
So I love this question. So when we start off learning this meditation, the first thing that we're learning is to connect with our heart. So we're really getting to know ourselves first, because we really have to know ourselves and know what our feelings really feel like. So we go into our heart, and that's when we start the meditation of going up. So then when we get there and we're overcome with this beautiful feeling of like bliss, and we're in that twinkling white light, and we're so calm and relaxed, and it feels like a warm hug. That's how you know you're there. And when you start thinking, that's when you can get yourself out of Theta, because Theta is a way, it's a receptive mode. It's not in a action mode. You are simply receiving energy from the creator of all that is. And while in that theta state, you can ask creator a question. So one question that people could ask themselves if they would like to practice the meditation, a good question is, creator, show me a virtue that I possess that I haven't recognized yet. So people will do that. And then this is where you kind of get the intuition versus ego.
Okay.
You may hear or feel or interpret your ability, your capacity for joy. So it might be something that you haven't recognized in yourself. But the ego is probably looking for something that's work related or struggle, working harder. It's a rushed feeling. It's like, I have to do something now. That's how you know it's an ego. When it's creator, you are in peace and you are receiving information. There is no thought. It's all a feeling that you receive. So the moment you start to think, am I doing this right? I don't know. Am I doing, what about this? What about that? And oh, maybe I should hurry up. And yeah, there is no shoulding on yourself when you're in theta. It is just a being and accepting of who you really are, because you are part of creator. So it's like coming home, and that's how you feel. So the moment you start to feel something unpleasant, that's your ego.
Okay.
Creator will never say something or make you feel bad.
Right.
That's not what creator does. Creator's all about uplifting, healing, and bringing the best to everything.
Yeah. So I've been practicing going into theta mode, and I've been trying to find like peaceful places where I can do this. But as you know, I'm a mom with little kids, and sometimes my peaceful time gets interrupted. So I've had some situations where I feel like I've reached that place, but then someone says, Mom, if I recognize that, I don't know how I wouldn't, but if I recognize that, do I shift out of theta mode? Or, you know, is that recognizing that, oh, I'm not quite there yet because I wasn't completely zoned out? Or how?
You can actually be in two, you can switch back and forth in brainwaves like that, right? So, for example, what I do with my clients, like I connect and I can go into theta, and then I'm back and I'm talking. And then I'm in theta and then I'm talking. So I'm constantly switching between the brainwaves so that I can function while going into theta and then using my beta brainwave for when I need to be alert and taking notes and things, and then back into theta. So it's a delicate balance that you learn. And again, I've been doing this since 2017. So,
yes, we've got some practice.
Yes, and practice makes perfect. So what I invite people to do is go into that meditation, and when you call out to creator or source or whatever word that resonates with you for your higher power, when you notice that energy, take like a mental like snapshot. And then, so your kids are like, Mom this, Mom that, and then you, creator, because your brain's going to remember when you say creator or you call out, your brainwave's going to change. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. So, which is why I encourage people, like, do this more often. The more often you do this, like your kids could be wreaking havoc and you can check in with creator to see what your next best step is.
I like that. A local business in South Dakota is partnering with a nonprofit to provide affordable, energy efficient, and sustainable tiny homes to combat the housing crisis faced by the Sioux tribes. These homes, costing between $7,500 to $9,000, are made of cellular concrete, a naturally insulated material. They are assembled within days and are energy efficient and fireproof. South Dakota has ample sunshine, averaging 275 sunny days a year. Therefore, the added solar panels could potentially meet all the heat and power needs of these homes. Home ownership and permanent address will increase the stability of the residents, paving the way for increased community involvement and self-governance. The first phase of this ambitious project is focused on training building emergency warming shelters, and providing a cement dome home in each of the 9 districts on the reservation. Now, the project has received an additional $700,000 in funding from various foundations, enabling it to continue to work on a charitable basis for families in need. In the future, the project aims to train local tribes to build these domes, creating new jobs and encouraging entrepreneurship. This business and nonprofit partnership is creating a path for a brighter future for the South Dakota Sioux tribes, combining sustainable housing with community empowerment. Located in the harsh environment of India's Thar Desert, an innovative school has been built to accommodate girls and women from impoverished backgrounds. This school is ingeniously designed to deal with the extreme desert heat. It uses solar canopies, lattice stone walls, and elevated windows to maintain comfortable temperatures, offering a low-cost alternative to traditional air conditioning. Constructed entirely by local craftspeople, including the girls' fathers, the school is built from hand-carved local sandstone. This material is known for its climate-resilient properties and is commonly used for buildings in the region. The structure incorporates traditional architectural details and building techniques, making it feel truly authentic. Sustainability is a key component of this project, with 95% of the materials used being local. These include recycled ceramic tiles for the roof and lime plaster for the classroom interiors. A solar panel roof canopy doesn't just supply all the electricity, it also provides shade over the courtyard, creating a comfortable play area for the girls. To maximize water efficiency, ancient local water harvesting techniques are employed. Currently home to around 120 students, the school is open to families living below the poverty line. It also offers classes for local women to learn weaving techniques. This not only preserves regional culture, but empowers them with skills that can be utilized globally. The school's aim is not simply to provide education, but to foster economic independence as well. Now, the women and girls of the Thar region have a cool, safe haven to learn and grow despite the oppressive desert heat. In an effort to provide a fresh start for people in need, Charlie Burrell, a passionate advocate for the homeless in the rural community of Little River, New Brunswick, Canada, has built 21 bunk houses. Now, the aim is to provide a refuge for individuals looking to escape from the streets and make a change in their lives. The project is an extension of Burrell's outreach work with the homeless and is designed to create a safe space from the crime and drug problems of nearby urban areas. Driven by his experiences with the harsh reality of helping the homeless, he yearned for a better solution than providing temporary aid. Now, Charlie believes the tiny bunkhouse community will offer a more permanent solution to homelessness and addiction issues. Choosing who gets a place in the community is a tough decision, but priority is given to those at higher risk of overdose and those unlikely to survive the winter without shelter. The project also provides on-site addiction and mental health services. Each bunkhouse is fully equipped with electricity, heating, and air conditioning. This community is hoped to serve as a haven for people where they can begin to overcome their addictions and their challenges. The next phase of the project is an apartment-style dwelling and larger homes. The goal of this initiative is to bring lasting and positive change to the people at houses, their families, and the greater community. Want to share news from UNN with your friends and family? Memes are a great way to get the conversation going, and here is today's UNN meme of the day. It says, "Peace on earth has been declared." Now, the light has prevailed. We are no longer warring with the dark, which should make it easier for us to find peace within ourselves and join together with others for the restoration of our planet. To see more memes just like this one, you can follow our Meme Team Telegram channel at UNN Memes. Share them on Telegram and any other social media channels where you still have an account. Welcome to United Network News. I'm Sunny Galt.
Connect with United Network News online. The news portion of our website at unitednetwork.earth recaps the biggest stories impacting our planet. You can also watch inspiring videos from our field messengers and get great tips for creating your own field messenger reports. Easily share all of this content with your friends in just a few clicks, including our social media memes designed to ignite conversation and critical thinking. It's time to restore our home. Let's make history together at unitednetwork.earth.
Now, a look at regional stories around the world. Colombia declares a state of disaster after wildfires blaze through the country. There are currently 31 active fires. Gang violence in Haiti continues to soar, and now it appears that international support may not be coming to the rescue. The women in Kenya are protesting against femicide, denouncing gender-based violence and calling for action. More and more children are using skincare products promoted by online influencers, but could these products be causing more harm than good? Colombia has declared a disaster in response to intense wildfires aggravated by the El Niño phenomenon, prompting a call for international aid. Currently, there are 31 active fires, with 9 reported to be under control, and there have been no mandatory evacuations ordered in affected municipalities. The country's inability to respond effectively is underlined by the fact that nearly 1/3 of its municipalities lack fire departments. The National Army has been deployed with more than 600 soldiers to help fight the fires, using aircraft and vehicles in the emergency response. Police have adapted planes, typically used for spraying cola fields, to distribute water over the flames. The president confirmed support from Chile, the United States, Peru, and Canada, with additional help requested from the United Nations and European Union. Ecuador faces a profound security crisis as drug-related violence skyrockets, causing widespread economic concerns. As part of efforts to fund an anti-crime initiative, a value-added tax hike and oil production delays are proposed, despite opposition resistance. Industrialists resort to helicopters for safe travel, and kidnapping for ransom has become a grim reality for local business figures. Businesses have been hard hit, and export industries such as bananas, shrimp, and coffee are experiencing operational difficulties due to insecurity in rural areas. For the everyday Ecuadorian, the violence has permeated daily life, with even basic social activities like dining out being now shadowed by concerns for safety. The economic impact of this endemic violence amounted to an estimated 6% of the country's GDP in 2022. In Haiti, soaring gang violence and political unrest continue to ravage the nation, deeply impacting its citizens. A recent Kenyan court ruling has stalled the anticipated arrival of an international force aimed at restoring stability. The withdrawal of more than 1,600 officers last year and the destruction of equipment donated by the global community have significantly weakened the Haitian police force. Haitians, from street vendors to shop owners, expressed their sense of abandonment and the daily terror of gang confrontations. Regional leaders emphasize the need for urgent discussions to find alternative solutions for Haiti, and some believe there's potential to utilize newly trained local military forces. However, local business owners believe that without international support, small businesses and residents remain unprotected. In Puerto Rico, there's intense debate about proposed legislation to outlaw hairstyle discrimination. Testimonies during a public hearing revealed personal experiences of bias, especially within Afro-Caribbean communities. Incidents like school job offers being contingent on cutting hair and children being barred from schools for their natural hairstyles highlight the emotional toll and stigmatization people endure. With evidence of ongoing discrimination despite existing laws, Supporters of the bill emphasize the need for explicit protections against systemic racism. As discussions continue, parallels are drawn to similar challenges in the U.S. mainland, where many states have enacted legislation, such as the Crown Act, to safeguard individuals against hair-related discrimination. In efforts to fight fraudulent tax claims, U.S. Congress is proposing changes to employee retention tax credits, initially created to help businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. Lawmakers estimate that eliminating false claims would garner approximately $79 billion in savings in the next decade. These savings are earmarked to support more generous child tax credits for low-income families and sustain 3 business tax breaks. The House saw nearly unanimous support for the proposed measures, yet the outcome remains uncertain for several senators expressing concerns about the bill's provisions. An IRS update reveals stringent efforts against fraud, with hundreds of criminal investigations and a notable decrease in fraudulent claims due to new measures. These efforts aim to prioritize legitimate business claims awaiting resolution in the IRS backlog. In an attempt to increase its ranks, the U.S. Navy is now opening enlistment to individuals lacking formal education credentials, provided they score 50 or higher on the Armed Services Qualification Test. This initiative aims to tap into a previously inaccessible talent pool. More than 2,400 potential recruits were turned away last year, a sizable number of which may now qualify under new guidelines. This approach is a significant shift from the Navy's last recruitment of non-credential individuals in 2000. Other military branches remain cautious, largely limiting or avoiding the enlistment of low-scoring candidates, highlighting concerns about potential higher failure rates during training or future disciplinary issues. However, driven by a challenging post-pandemic recruitment landscape and competitive job market, the Navy is expanding the demographic in hopes to fill a shortfall that left them with nearly 6,000 fewer recruits than their goal last year. eBay has announced a workforce cut of about 9%, amounting to 1,000 full-time jobs due to slow growth and industry downsizing. The layoffs come as the company attempts to realign its structure to enhance customer experiences globally. The news follows similar layoffs at other tech giants like Amazon and Google's parent company, Alphabet, signaling a trend of cost-saving measures across the sector. This scaling back at eBay will include reducing the number of contract workers as well. Employees will have discussions about the layoffs remotely, with eBay prioritizing privacy during this transition. Inflation and high interest rates were cited as contributors to dampen consumer spending, particularly in Europe. eBay has also agreed to a $3 million settlement due to a cyber stalking scandal involving former employees earlier this month. Nigeria's high unemployment rate and low-wage jobs are impacting their people and at times challenging social norms. A university professor is embracing the trade of welding to supplement his income alongside his academic duties. His dual career not only caters to his passion for practical engineering, but has also become a financial lifeline, especially during periods where academia faced salary disputes and strikes. His actions have unsettled some while inspiring others in a country where more than 40% of graduates struggle to find employment. Moving beyond mere economic necessity, the professor has established a workshop and taken on apprentices, many of whom are not enrolled in formal education. These apprentices earn a modest wage and learn valuable skills, gaining the ability to start their own business. His unique approach to a career illustrates the potential of skilled labor in enhancing self-sufficiency and challenging societal expectations. The West African nations of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have announced their departure from the regional cooperative ECOWAS, citing the organization's failure to support their battle against terrorism and imposition of sanctions deemed to be illegal and inhumane. The countries underscored their need to take control of their sovereignty and security. This move comes despite ECOWAS's effort to retain the states, emphasizing its open stance toward negotiation. The regional bloc has faced criticism for not preventing coups and effectively addressing widespread instability in the region. The severance of military ties and France by the departing states, who have joined the Alliance of Sahel states, compounds the issue as concerns grow about armed groups potentially advancing southwards. This unrest has led to a dramatic increase in violence, leaving a devastating trail of more than 4,600 deaths in the first half of 2023 and raising humanitarian crisis across West Africa. Kenyans are filling the streets protesting the alarming increase in femicides, with at least 14 women murdered since this year's beginning. Frustration increased in Nairobi as demonstrators, mostly women wearing the names of victims, denounced gender-based violence. The sizable protest brought the capital to a halt with urgent calls for action. Echoes of "Stop Killing Us" reflected the gravity of the crisis as citizens called for justice and the end of silence from authorities. Kenyan courts, with a critical shortage of justices and magistrates, face scrutiny for lengthy delays in hearing such cases, a factor many believe only encourages this violent trend. Evergrande, known as the world's most indebted property developer with around $300 billion in debts, has received a liquidation order from a Hong Kong court. Despite multiple deadline extensions since June 2022, Evergrande's restructuring plan was deemed inadequate. The company's $23 billion debt reorganization plan collapsed following an investigation into its founder for alleged illegal activities. Provisional liquidators will face a complex task managing assets and creditor negotiations. Operations in China also have challenges for offshore liquidators, as shareholders and offshore creditors are expected to receive minimal returns from the liquidation. The trading of Evergrande shares and its affiliates was suspended as the market anticipated the court's decision, resulting in stock prices plunging nearly 20%. The collapse's impact on the Chinese economy remains uncertain, though earlier defaults have contributed to a downturn in property markets and stock values. The government's efforts to stabilize the situation, including restructuring asset management firms, highlight the severity of the crisis. The Russian parliament has advanced a bill that expands the government's power to confiscate property. Under the proposed law, individuals convicted for various offenses, including spreading false information about the military, discrediting the armed forces, or supporting sanctions against Russia, could lose their possessions. Those who have left the country and publicly criticized the war in Ukraine could be targeted, particularly if they generate income from properties in Russia. This step intensifies the legal consequences of dissent, building on the existing stringent penalties introduced in March of 2022 for activities considered as discrediting the armed forces. CNN Philippines announces it will cease operations, impacting around 300 employees. Despite the paid CNN franchise and attempts to boost revenues, the network has reported substantial financial losses. The decision to discontinue operations was made to prevent further financial loss, even though it had received significant investment and effort. The frequency used by the network will now revert to government control, with plans to shift attention to another smaller channel operated by the group. Affected staff have expressed profound distress about the situation, highlighting the emotional impact of the closure. This move emphasizes the broader trend of declining traditional TV viewership as audiences pivot towards digital and social media platforms for content consumption. Poland has revised its policy towards Ukrainian refugees amid concerns of undue advantages being taken by some. Aiming to balance humanitarian support with financial responsibility, the Polish government has decided to extend the special protection regime but simultaneously tighten assistance rules. After initially allowing refugees to stay in temporary accommodations without charge, a new mandate now requires them to pay for half of their living costs after 120 days and 75% after 180 days. Concerns have risen about the real impact of these measures on the affected individuals. Among the nearly 1 million Ukrainian refugees in Poland, only a fraction are in state-funded shelters, and these regulations may add to their financial burden. Critics argue the need for a more nuanced approach, one that supports integration without fostering dependency. Mass protests continue in Slovakia as thousands stand against proposed judicial reforms. These reforms aim to dismantle an anti-corruption prosecutor's office and reduce sentences for financial crimes. Concerns are mounting due to the potential for these reforms to grant immunity to political and business elites. Thousands have gathered in response, challenging the government's suggestion that the reforms align with European standards and calling for the protection of the rule of law. The European Union and the United States have expressed concerns, warning that rushed legal changes could undermine Slovakia's legal integrity and potentially jeopardize European funding. Farmers in France are escalating their protests, calling for better wages and working conditions. Rolling roadblocks are being set up on motorways, targeting areas around Paris. The Paris police are reinforcing security at key points, anticipating difficult transport conditions throughout the capital region. Around 15,000 police will be deployed to manage the situation. The protests, which have included damaging local government offices, are part of a broader unrest amongst European farmers. The government has recently retracted plans to cut agricultural diesel subsidies in response to the protests, which follow similar actions across Europe. Residents are urged to stay informed and seek alternative routes to mitigate the impact of the protests on their daily commute. In England, ongoing strikes in the healthcare sector continue to cause significant disruption as senior doctors recently voted to decline a government pay offer. With more than 7 million patients on waiting lists for treatments, the National Health Service is facing increased strain, resulting in numerous appointment and procedure cancellations. This setback in negotiations threatens to prolong the issue, directly impacting patient care and complicating efforts to reduce wait times. The government seeks new ways to resolve the dispute as the country struggles with widespread strikes by workers in various sectors who are demanding increased pay due to rising living costs. Continued talks are anticipated between the doctors and the government. In Italy, a significant policy shift will impact the elderly and working mothers starting in 2025. The Italian government has announced a welfare reform, including a new universal benefit aimed at providing financial support to impoverished seniors 80 or older with acute care needs. This benefit, set at almost 1,400 euros or almost $1,500 monthly, is a response to Italy's demographic challenges, with a substantial portion of its population advancing in age. These measures are a response to Italy's stature as one of the nations with the highest proportion of elderly individuals in Europe and the world, second only to Japan. The announced measures also seek to address low birth weights by offering financial relief to working mothers, reflecting the urgency to balance the demographic scales. Public concern is on the rise as children, some as young as 8, are using adult skincare products promoted by influencers on platforms like TikTok and YouTube. The British Association of Dermatologists cautions that ingredients such as retinol and exfoliating acids in these products, often from brands like Drunk Elephant, are not suitable for children's skin and could lead to irreversible damage, allergies, and eczema. Despite attempts by product founders to discourage young users and extra training for beauty store staff, the trend persists, driven by attractive packaging and a strong social media presence. Parents face the challenge of educating their children about skin health and confronting the influence of social media. Experts emphasize the importance of seeking proper medical advice for children's skincare to avoid the risks associated with inappropriate products. Want the latest updates from UNN? Be sure to follow our channel on Telegram. It's called United Network News Channel. This is our official Telegram channel. It's where you'll find direct links to our newscasts and our in-depth field messenger reports. And be sure to check out CARE's new Health and Wellness Department. You can connect with the Center for Health and Wellness of Earth, or CHWE community, by joining their Telegram channel. Search for Center for Health Wellness of Earth. And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Some big changes are happening today as operatives around the world are being released. What was happening with the Schumann resonance over the weekend? All of this and more in today's World Situation Report. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Kimberly, I know it's been a very busy morning for you.
Oh, just a little bit. Yeah. And I'm actually even late to the news today. Barely even made it. There's so much happening. It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It could be turbulent for a couple of days. I'm not exactly sure because this is all unfolding as I'm talking to you right now. Okay, let's start with over the weekend briefly. Over the weekend, there were some meetings that are normal meetings that would normally take place every year. Okay. And these would be higher end, for example, secret space program operative meetings. Then we would go from them to the next meeting would be with other operatives, like, for example, ones that work directly for Langley 5 and higher ranking operatives, and then eventually it would be your standard agency people. And this is worldwide. These types of meetings possibly would take place once a year, usually sometime in January or February. And I've seen a couple of them because a lot of the operatives go to respective zones around the world. Mm-hmm. So I've seen a lot of this firsthand. I mean, my first time being here during that time frame was about the beginning of 2017 in a zone like this. And, you know, I've become so aware from traveling all around the world and seeing a lot of different things and meeting a lot of different people. I can literally, you know, for lack of a better term, smell their scent. I know who they are. I know if they have bad intent towards me or not, or they're just there. Mm-hmm. Or if I'm being observed, I can tell. You know, I can definitely, you know, I've never really had anybody else to count on as far as people with me. I've done most of my traveling alone, so I know what these people look like and what the kind of it's almost like an energy field they give off, an emotional signature. So when I read people on all levels, and that's kind of how I tell who these people are. So all in one day, the span of one day, literally, I was walking downtown, grabbing a coffee, and I mean, I ran into hundreds in this tiny little town in nowhere. And I'm like, is there a convention going on here? What the heck is going on? What's happening? So that was my first experience with witnessing, you know, what happens in a zone when these meetings take place.
Now, Kim, did they know who you were? You said you were picking up on their energy. Could you tell that they knew who you were or no?
You know, this is kind of an interesting little town. And, you know, I came from Phoenix, Arizona, to here, Scottsdale, Tucson, Arizona to here. And, you know, the way that people dress there, I mean, obvious, minus the obvious, you know, hats, coats, and things in the wintertime, is very different than it is here. And, you know, I didn't realize that, in this town, it's like you're one step away from a hike at all times. You know, you could change your shoes and be on a hike. That's dressed up here.
Yeah.
And so I kind of stuck out a little bit anyway when I first got here because, you don't really know what to make of that. So I wasn't sure if it was that or, just a woman walking down the street or, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure at the time really what that was all about. I really don't think many people on that level knew about me at that time. I was brought here by a specific person who was going to be my specific handler that had been trained by one of the covens for about 6 months before I got here as to what to do, how to handle me, all those kind of things. So he was trained at, pretty high level in the multiverse. I mean, or on Earth anyway, in order to get that job done. So he knew what I was, and so did his partner, his sidekick. They knew what I was, but nobody else, I don't think, around here really did. I kind of got the feeling that they sort of sensed something, but, it's kind of one of those situations where if you're in a group and everybody is a operative or agency, everybody looks at everybody funny. So, maybe they just thought I was another operative. And if so, why wasn't I at the meeting looking for my contract or something like that? So interesting. I don't know if that answers your question. So I'm not sure, and then it happened the next year and then it happened the next year. And then I haven't really seen much of it in the last couple years until this year. This has been a very busy place in the last couple of days. Lots of helicopters coming in and out. Most of the operatives come in either on a Langley jet or on a helicopter. So there's been a lot of activity around here. It's been very busy. So the meetings actually started yesterday in the afternoon. And it was kind of informal. It was just operatives talking about comparing intelligence information, talking about potential contracts, those types of things. It was pretty calm. And then 9 people got on the call, all men, and disrupted the entire meeting intentionally because they were starting to figure out things by comparing notes that something is awry. Now, these particular 9 people were not the 9 we talked about last week. That's somebody else. We'll talk about them too. These people were promised that they would hold the position of the eagles. So one of them would be black eagle, one of them would be brown eagle, one of them would be purple eagle, and so on and so green eagle. And so those positions were going to be handed to these people, they believed, by today, by this morning. So they were waiting for this to happen, but they had to disrupt the operatives from giving too much truth amongst each other in the meeting yesterday. There was talk about us. There was discussions about the GIA. There was discussions about ground commander, me, financial things. Way too much information was getting out. These people had to put a stop to that. No truth. And that was yesterday. That was last night. So this morning, we managed to locate the remaining 9 in their respective bunkers. There were 2 in under Fort Lewis in Seattle. There were 5 in Norfolk underneath the Norfolk base. And these are what you call deep underground facilities. In other words, you have to have special permission to enter into this. This is not your atypical dumb by any means. These are Faraday caged, locked away rooms type of things. And no one of this nature would have been able to access these before. So they must have got the information from somewhere. The other 2 were located in San Diego again, not too far from you.
Right down the road.
I know, great. Yeah, they went to the same room where all the other people died, probably moved over some corpses and sat right down. So that makes your 9. So it was 2, 2, and 5. Due to some other things, which I'll talk about here in just a few moments, because it's kind of separate. One is more esoteric. This is more on a worldwide political and media, financial type change. So they passed away this morning early due to some activities they were participating in, still not stopping. So now they are dead. So flash forward to this morning, your 9 potential eagles were waiting for a call from these people. So when they didn't come as scheduled at a specific time this morning, they went to go check on them to find out how they were doing. And they found out they were no longer breathing. So they went into a little bit of a panic because they also had a call scheduled for about 9 a.m. Mountain Time today. We have a lot of operatives around here right now. And they postponed the call till 9:30, trying to figure out what they're going to do. Now, there is a way, I am told, that they can tell if they actually are the eagles. And I keep wanting to sing, like, you know, some Eagles song, Life in the Fast Lane. I don't know. So there is a way they can actually tell. It's some kind of a ring and ritual sort of thing when they get on a call and introduce themselves as the new eagle. There's a thing they do. Not really aware of the whole thing. Has something to do with maybe some kind of brainwave frequency, infrared, ring that goes on them. I don't know what changes in them. I've never seen that happen before. So I'm not sure exactly what it is. But I know that everybody was expecting to see this being performed because the operatives themselves, the SSP operatives, were, wanting to see if it happened. Sure. So they postponed the call for about 30 minutes. They got on the call, and this is really important. They got on the call, and they basically said that they did not get appointed and that there was no one left to appoint them. And explained that they had passed away. Probably didn't use those terms. I'm being polite. Mm-hmm. And then they released them all as assets. Now I'm going to tell you
who, Kim?
The Eagle folks, the potential Eagle folks worldwide. Okay. There were 9 candidates.
Yeah.
Then told all of the operatives that they were released from the order.
That sounds big.
It is big. So let me explain to you what an asset is. So an asset is not only collateral. An asset is like ownership. Like you would, if you own your car, you consider that an asset of yours. Mm-hmm. But these people take asset to a whole other level. So in part, it has to do with financial, being able to pay them, money going in through the downline of, if one person gets paid, then the next group down the line gets paid, and so on and so forth. It also has to do with a certain amount of protection and a second oath. Mm. So you take an oath to the order, you take an oath to these people, and you may also take an oath to an agency or to a military in your respective area. But your second oath is much more important than your first. So you may be double collateralized, so to speak. You may be collateralized by the military, you may be collateralized over here by the order, but one definitely supersedes the other.
Okay.
Next, in the regular world, well, I use that term loosely, an asset is someone that an agency person or an operative would recruit. Mm-hmm. Someone who would give them information, for example, in a war zone. Yeah. And then that particular agency would then claim them. So they are our asset, quote unquote, or we are an NSA asset. Mm-hmm. And what that means is it's almost like a worldwide gentleman's agreement or an unwritten rule that makes them untouchable by all the other sectors of the order. You can't kill them. You can't harm them in any way, that type of thing. Now, the claiming ownership of an asset not only happens with intelligence agencies and you average everyday folk, this also happens within the order. So that there's an order downline. For example, different members of Langley 5 would also have assets of their own that they would claim. This also took place on a higher level of families in the order. They would claim you as an asset of the family, even though you were not a family member. It's kind of like being a pet, unfortunately. Someone that works for them, but that might not be of their bloodline.
Okay.
So this continued all the way up to the food chain to what we talked about last week, and Marduk claiming assets, Enlil claiming assets, Satan, Lucifer, fallen angels, all claiming assets under different family bloodlines. Right. So these are people that they have converted, you know, regular, average, everyday, organic, non-bloodline family people. Other assets could be Melchizedek's. Other assets could be, you know, from the light side. So they recruit these assets and then kind of include them in their group, so to speak. But there are rules for assets, things you can do, things you cannot do, places you can live, places you cannot live. It's kind of a restrictive program, but, you know, they tell you this all under the guise of, well, we saved your life. You know, and they have to get your consent to be an asset and then register you as an asset. So the same thing happens with the secret space program. So they obviously recruit assets to work for them and or work for the order and or work for the Abraxas at the higher level and or work for Lucifer. So technically, in your upline from there, you are an asset over and over and over again in belonging to that downline, so to speak. So that's what it means to be an asset. So releasing these guys as an asset of the SSP, number one, there's no more obligation. There's no more contracts for these people. So this is kind of huge. It's a little bit confusing and it's a little bit disturbing because, number one, they all came to their respective zones waiting for contracts today and money. You know, they were told that by the 9 who are no longer with us. So it's upsetting. We're still, I mean, this is just unfolding in the last 2 hours. So we don't know what's going to happen from here. I mean, people are, you know, have their own sovereign will now. They can make their own decisions, but we're still kind of in that angry, grieving kind of stage because you've done this, you know, these people have done this their whole life. They've been in these programs. You know, they've been fractionated in some cases. Their personalities aren't normal people personalities anymore. So what are they going to do from here? So the second I heard that, because every single zone in the world, John Wick hotels, plural, I think they called them the Continental hotels in the movie, but, you know, that could have been disastrous because these are extremely dangerous people, very well, highly trained, extremely dangerous people. And there are a lot of things they've done in their life that make other extremely dangerous people angry with them.
And they're not protected anymore.
They wouldn't be protected anymore. So I actually went ahead today and I registered immediately when I went, oh my God, this could be disastrous. So I went ahead and I registered all the zones under the Global Intelligence Agency so that there's some order and some structure there. And that they see that there's an enforcement unit over those respective zones, and we'll have to sort the rest out later, you know, with the people that guard it and watch and payments for those people and those types of things. So I'll probably do that later today, at least through the key intelligence and military system. So where it goes from there, they're going to have to try to figure that out. But yes, that was a very big concern because can you imagine all the John Wicks of the world running around with no Continental hotel, no place to go? No, that could be very bad. So I made sure we did that. Next. So to varying degrees, this was very upsetting to them. You know, it seems to be slightly calmer now than it was then, because maybe they're realizing they can take other jobs. They can do other things now. There's no hierarchy. They don't have to sit and wait day after day, year after year. And some of these people have been waiting for money owed to them for almost 20 years now. Oh. And they have not been paid, you know, going all the way back to 2006, 2007. I mean,
but this also means they're not going to get paid, right?
Well, but there was, when you got that second oath, you become an asset, and you are an asset. Unfortunately, that is the restriction. You know, it is a restriction. You can only take orders from the upline. You are now owned like a dog from the upline. If you don't let your dog outside to, you know, use the restroom or something, Sonny, your dog's not going outside. It is not going to open the door. And I'm not calling these people dogs by any stretch of the imagination here. I'm just saying, you know, you own the dog. You call yourself a dog owner. And not saying that we don't treat our pets like family, you know, but we're different people over here. You know, we do different things. I mean, my dog gets better treatment than probably most people's spouses do. But, you know, but that's because I consider her my family. Yeah. You know, spoiled, rotten. No, I didn't.
Oh, the truth comes out.
Well, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything. It's the same way I treat people, you know, in general. It's the same way. So, you know, that doesn't change whether you're furry or non-furry or tall or short or, you know, a person or not a person. If maybe you're not even of the human species, you know, maybe you're not even a species that existed or originated from planet Earth, you know, at this time. It doesn't matter. Everybody's the same to me. Everything, I look at everyone the same. So going back to them, you know, hopefully they are starting to see the possibilities here of other ways, other directions, and no one can tell them no anymore. Maybe they've got some projects of their own or things they've wanted to do, and perhaps in retirement or whatever that they could actually start doing now. I don't know. Like I said, it's been literally maybe 2 hours as of this moment in time since that announcement was made. So you got to give people an opportunity to wrap their mind around something so momentous that it's never happened before. This has never happened. So at the time I jumped and ran to the news, I was kind of hoping to finish what the other people were going to do. So now that leaves us more people in the upline, as we discussed on the whiteboard. And those people would be your black nobility. These were the ones that reported to the Abraxas. They felt like they were the bloodline of the Abraxas, therefore the bloodline of Lucifer. And now they were waiting for specific information to come in before they started releasing their downline. You know, it's a little tougher at that level because they have had so much power. They have participated heavily. This is what I call the anti-silent circle people. People were asking me on the threads about human traffickers and those types of people. I call these people, you have a silent circle, you have an anti-silent circle. And not to say that they aren't aware of each other and not to say they don't communicate with each other. They just don't. And not to say they haven't crossed each other in the business world, but I would say they don't necessarily participate in the same types of activities. It's kind of like the same way that the fallen angels and the angels, you know, they all work for Source, you know, one half or another of Source. And, you know, the dark side or the light side, when that happened, when that existed. And, you know, they just recognized each other as, you know, well, we're just doing our job here. Hey, you know, we all go back to the same places. We get our orders the same way. we execute on our orders the same way. We try to get all these people to come to the light side, and you try to get all those people to go to the dark side, and we see who wins at the end of the day. So, and it's kind of the same way with the silent circle and the anti-silent circle as it relates to operatives in countries and political manipulations and those kind of things, corporate manipulations in a lot of ways. You would see some of these families over here in the upline as their assets. They would have big companies that you would know. I would say big companies you would know, Pfizer, Moderna, and then they would then run the operatives that run those companies. They are also the ones that are involved in the human trafficking and a lot of that. So I'm aware that there's two sides of the silent circle, for lack of a better term. And so these people were waiting to make sure that their downlines assets were released, the contracts and covenants that they signed were released, and then there's nothing they could do. So they, at the time I jumped on the news here, they were actually waiting for, they got on the call, the anti-silent circle got on the call, but they were on the call with all your political operatives worldwide. These are operatives, a notch below the SSP or equal to on the other side, or two sides of the black sun. These are your high-ranking Langley 5 would be on that call as in the downline, as an example. So they are political operatives, media operatives, you would say military operatives, assets in the militaries that would have worldwide. You would even have Jesuit folk in that call. You would have a lot of different people in that call. And whenever I left they were buying time to make sure that all the final covenants were gone before they release their assets. Now, if they release all of them as assets, it brings us, well, I'm not even going to speak about that because I don't know what they're going to do. But all these operatives, they're all waiting for money too, to adhere to their agendas that they're trying to put forth. That could definitely change politics. In the world, it could change a lot of different things because, again, operatives run countries. They run the financial sector of countries. They are running the Federal Reserve, even though the Federal Reserve Board gets on TV and talks like good little actors. Each one of them has a group of aides that reported to the black nobility or the anti-silent circle. So you see, it's a security equals control. Since security equals control, they are the security. They are their quote-unquote aides. They're the ones that are the policymakers. They're the ones that get the orders directly and therefore get the pay directly. The Treasury departments worldwide are the same. Central banks are the same. All the people that actually work there are all the security. So I'm not sure if they're going to release the assets or not. I won't find out until I'm done with the news here, but this could be a game changer, but it also could cause a lot of disruption for a little while. I definitely know I heard because they were late getting on the call by about almost 30 minutes. So the operatives start talking amongst themselves. And oh, for the love of God, the Duck Dynasty Trump operatives are like, well, we're going to do this. We're getting the money. We're going to finally do it. We're doing the thing. Oh, God. I don't know. Did they get, I think they got their operative, I graduated from operative training school or something from Cracker Jack Box or maybe Toys R Us. I'm not sure. But, oh, my gosh. Fisher Price badge. I don't know. They just make no sense to me. So anyway, we'll see what happens from here. It could be a little chaotic for a while.
Like in what way, Kim? Like when you say chaotic, what does that mean?
Well, to be an asset means they have a handler.
Right.
That handler has a handler.
Yeah.
That handler has a handler. then there's a handler, and then eventually you get up to the black nobility, and then eventually you would get up to the Abraxas, then eventually you would get up to Lucifer, then eventually anti-source. So everybody's got a handler in the downline or someone they report to. Now, with no one to report to, when you're released, that means you're fair game, number one, for either side. That's a little scary, you know, for these guys. They have fallen under their protection.
Yeah.
You know, that could be it, number one. Number two, there's no money. You know, all those budgets everybody's signing, there's no money.
Yeah.
You know, they would get paid the same time budgets got paid. There's no money. Next, you know, there is somewhat, to some degree, an honor amongst the groups, a little bit, at least amongst each other. But they've been beating each other up knowingly or unknowingly for a long time. You know, it's a compartmentalization thing. You know, you're a Republican side, you're a Democrat side, you know, and these guys are, you know, you would consider they're operatives. They're full-fledged operatives. They do what operatives do, and you can watch enough movies and figure that out. You know, if you ever saw the show Blacklist, would be one of them. Yeah, those are. Now you're looking at political fixers, you're looking at operatives, you're looking at another show would be Scandal series. If you've ever seen Scandal, that's a political fixer. So, you know, you saw the things that those people did. Those are your operatives. That's how it really is. The way it really is, guys, that's the way it really is. And so these guys not having anyone in the upline that they report to, and the compartmentalization is so deep. Now what are they going to do? You know, we don't know. Again, this is a real-time news broadcast right now. And as, you know, still waiting to see if they're going to release them or not, or what's going to happen from here. So big changes in one way or another in government, you know, are the black nobility families they have money. Don't get me wrong. They make big money to do what they do. Now, I'm not saying it's ethical money, but they do. And do they have enough money to afford the continuation of government? The answer to the question is no. They do not. Do they have enough money to pay everyone in the downline to continue war and controlling the wars in the Middle East and other things that are going on, and potential world wars, or, you know, even keeping governments afloat? No. Do they have enough money to keep NATO afloat? No. Are they going to be able to fulfill all their promises to all the NATO partners that they promised last week? We discussed that. No. You know, they've got billions. They might even have hundreds of billions, but hundreds of billions of dollars isn't going to keep even the United States afloat, or China. Everybody's so far, you know, behind in their bills, so to speak. You know, they don't have that kind of wherewithal, and they know it. So the last I heard, what they were waiting for is now each asset pool or collateral pool, each group of assets in the downline would receive money to a closed loop in the, I use the term in the financial system loosely because it was really outside the financial system now, but it would have shown as like a remnant of an AI system, like the Fallen Angel AI or something like that. And so they were waiting to see if those closed loops received money, even though it would have been fake money with no allocations today, as normally would happen, but hasn't in a long time. So they realized that did not take place. Then they were going to release their assets because they can't pay for them anymore. So they should have already gotten that information by now, and they may not be happy about it, but probably is going to result, if not now at this moment, then in the next few days, them releasing their assets as well.
I kind of view these assets, for lack of a better term, as free agents.
Yeah.
They can now go and do what they want, whether that's their own personal thing. Could they partner with the GIA if they wanted to do something like that? If we thought,
yeah, they could.
Yeah.
You know, and that's their call and their choice. Again, you know, people have often said, well, why are we talking to these people? Why are we even bothering with these people? You know, you can, for example, start your own company and your own business. That means you need to come up with your own widget you're going to sell, whatever that is. You need to hire your own staff. You need to source the funding, if you don't already have it, to hire all those people. You need to find your own buildings. You need to, you know, do all of these types of things. When that's what we've been working on with CARE. And I'm not talking about the marketplace. So that's one aspect of it, in a way that we can bypass big corporates around the world and just trade amongst each other. There's a secondary aspect of that marketplace that's going to be about non-commerce. So I can't call it donations from one to another, but I would say it's almost like if you have your kids grow out of all their clothes. I'm sure that happens to you on the regular, Miss Sunny, right? I know it did for me with my daughter, but you could then put them up on a CARE section of the marketplace. And then if anybody needs them, they can, it's $0 to get them, just the shipping cost. That's it. And so the shipping cost, then you would ship out those items to that person, and it could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You know, we could do that with a lot of different things. And, you know, there might be some companies that sell, like, for example, there might be farmers in a specific area, and they may choose to put a few items there as well that people could get for free. So it's just it's a way to help one another around the world. I mean, those are all aspects of the marketplace. So we actually took CARE over here to the left, because the only way to win the game was not to play.
Right.
So we went ahead and we went all the way into figuring out how we were going to make this work for humanity without governments, without these people, without anybody in the order, and now we've got to convince 8 billion people of it. That's a lot of people we need to convince. The social media marketing people have a big job ahead of them. We'll be talking again later on today. But that's part of the reason why I said, well, look, we're going to come out loud and proud, you know, this week. You're going to see us come out with several different things, because I see it falling over here.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't do something somewhere in an organized fashion to where people have a resource, think about it. What about in the U.S., we call it the SNAP program. It is the food assistance program in the U.S. I'm sure you have them government funded and sponsored in other countries as well. Not say they function great or anything like that, but they function. And those people depend on that. Where are they going to get it from? We got to figure it out.
Right.
So we basically took it, and we're basically building something completely different over here, a completely from scratch widget factory, for lack of a better term, because we had realized there was no hope over there. But we have an opportunity to now buy the downline. Not just the operatives, but also the governments and stuff. And maybe we can put, Miss Sunny, maybe you want to be the president or something. I don't know. It doesn't, I know. No. But you see what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yes. We can take an existing broken widget factory that's bankrupt. This happens every day in the world. Yeah. And then you take over the staff, you make sure all the staffs have jobs, you restructure the business, and then you make it functional.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could, you know, perhaps use both hands. That's one hand would be on the right, one would be on the left, to help wake up 8 billion people and get the world running straight. Or we are prepared to go it alone. That's what going it alone means. Going it alone means you have an entire plan on how you're going to go it alone before you say it. And that's what the care admin team has been working very diligently on making sure happens, because we saw no hope over here. Today, there's a glimmer. Am I counting on it? No, but you see the difference. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's a huge dysfunction over here in that, it's a bankrupt, it's screwed up in so many different ways, but if the downline is released, there's an opportunity here for us. Mm-hmm. I know people get upset about that and that kind of thing, but remember, you're a small percentage of planet Earth that are understanding and listening to this. And that there's 8 billion people, and probably more now, I think, if you don't include the people that are actually have a birth certificate, because lots of people in this world are born without one, meaning they're born in very rural areas of the world, and they don't do that there. So that's kind of the status with that. Now, other questions that have come up over the weekend, and there was a lot of truth to it. Before the 9 passed away, they were very busy diligently playing with toys they knew nothing about. And one such toy did create a disturbance in the Schumann resonance this weekend. Remember what the Schumann resonance actually registers. ELF, extremely low frequencies. Mm-hmm. So that happened over the weekend as well. On Saturday, there was a lot. They were playing with alien technologies that they had no knowledge of, trying to make that happen. Now, on last night, yesterday, late afternoon Mountain Time, they started playing with a different technology. And this particular technology was worse than the first one. So they had parked a few military ships, predominantly British, in the Arctic area of the world and the Antarctic area of the world. And underneath both areas, deep below, so not a place that a human would use human equipment to travel to, let's put it that way, were these almost dome-like structures. So if you've ever seen a capsule that you can pull apart, and all the little beads come out if it's a medicine, or a veggie cap if it's a supplement, you pull them apart. So that's what it looked like, of metamaterials, dark metamaterials, dark energy conductors in the Arctic on one side. We pulled it apart, and then the other part was in the Antarctic. And inside there were a lot of dark energy balls and some plasma plates and other things. But activating this yesterday, or last night in the evening my time, early morning Australian time, and then that continued on until this morning my time, I would say caused a major disturbance. I don't know about you, but it felt like I was rocking on the ocean for a while there, energetic wise, and until we found out what exactly it was. It was sending out a mushroom cloud from the south and a mushroom cloud from the north of horrible energy, very disturbing energy, in essence, and a few other things. And they were trying to activate them with, to be fair, it was a Tesla-like technology. It was a very advanced human technology. And to some degree, it did work for a little while, but it didn't achieve the objective. Now, they thought that they were going to get access to the Omega system.
Of course. That doesn't exist.
No, when in fact, they created a major magnetic pole disturbance. It wasn't enough to flip the pole. It wasn't enough to create a wormhole to the Omegaverse or anything like that. it caused a disturbance in Earth's vortex, but more importantly, it caused a disturbance for most very sensitive people. So if you were feeling that and a little off and a little foggy and a little dizzy and a little nauseous from time to time in the last 24 to 48 hours, that's the reason why. So that was the disturbance that all of you were feeling, and it is also the reason why the 9 are no longer with us.
I see. Okay.
So, but, you know, everything that's meant for our harm is used for our good, you know. So ultimately it's led to the sequence of events that have happened today.
Yeah, that's true.
So, which could be positive, you know, for us. We're still going it alone over here. No one's stopping. Our team is working as many hours as they possibly can work to get all of this stuff up and running as quickly as possible in the face of what looks like is going to be a disaster over here. You know, we're calling all the farmers. We're trying to get farmers on board. So if you have farmers that are ready on board that are willing to sell and ship boxes or whatnot online, please get those ready. We'd love to partner with those people and have those people in our marketplace. I know we've been calling. We have a number of them that are willing to participate, especially throughout the seasons. Throughout the 4 seasons is a tough one. But please consider the most important needs of the people, just in case. I mean, and regardless of that, getting fresh, you know, fruits and vegetables that haven't been radiated as they come over the country's borders. Most of Europe does that, and most of the U.S. does that. They radiate all the fruits and vegetables. It's better to get it directly from the farmer. You know, there's also, you know, a lot of truth too, as you had interviewed someone in the New Earth series about the fact that talking to plants and talking to animals, singing, the frequency of that changes everything, changes even that which you are about to consume. So if you even though the plant is no longer attached, so to speak, or growing in the ground or in the soil or in a greenhouse, you still can, how do I explain this to you? Okay. You know, when we were kids, if you grew up in a Christian household or even an Islamic household, it doesn't matter what religion, most of the time there's a prayer that happens before the food is eaten.
Sure. Yeah.
And, you know, please nourish my body and that kind of thing. Well, there's a little bit of truth to that. Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be orchestrated with specific words or something like that. And the same thing goes for healing items. So if you're taking supplements, or you're using, you know, essential oils, or you're putting lavender or something on your hands or feet before you go to bed, try to help you sleep. You know, if you're talking to it and you adjust the frequency of not only you, but it, as you're about to consume it, or you're about to put it on your body or whatever it is, and you put the best of intention into it and match your frequencies, it will actually change the way that can heal your body. Right. You know, some may call it, which I don't agree with this, they talk about it being a placebo effect, but it's think about it even in clinical trials where, you know, one receives the placebo, one receives the actual medication, and they think it's going to tell the difference between side effects or no side effects. But do you know how many people that took the placebo that believed that they were receiving the medication actually became healed as well? Now, you can do this with natural things. I mean, I'm not talking about encouraging anybody to take medicine or whatever it is, but you can do this with natural things as well. And there's definitely something behind your intention. And your intention when you receive this thing, you have convinced yourself in mind, body, and soul that this is going to heal you, whatever it is. And it's actually you healing you, believe it or not. And then there's a certain there's a certain part of that is, for example, every plant has a frequency, every herb has a frequency, therefore every oil has a frequency. It doesn't matter if it's coming from a seed, such as black seed oil, or many other healing things in this world. Now, disease also has a frequency. Heavy metals have a frequency. So what you're doing is you're taking one thing that has a natural frequency of X, and you're giving it one is a negative and one is a positive. And so the two will bind together and leave the body. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's an equal and opposite frequency of what you're putting in versus what you're trying to get rid of. A positive and a negative will always join together. So one has so it's just an energy thing. So there's a lot of truth to, the kind of rituals we do as, in religions and in families and those types of things. But asking Source itself to nourish you as you eat food, with its own creation, that's a co-creation process that happened there too, to make that plant, grow, is definitely well worth that few extra minutes right before you have a meal. And you'll be surprised at the difference, Wow. So they're running around, trying to get things done with your day. Take a few minutes and communicate with Source about what you're about to put in your body. So positive things. Anyway, as far as the world situation, I'll have to update you on Wednesday because I have not gotten word back as to what the indecision was there about an asset possible release over there. On the flip side of it, we'll see what the operatives do. On the other side of it, we're doing very well with care in our own system over here, so we're going off in our own direction to help all of humanity during the time of transition, and I'm sure all of you are as well. As far as the situation with the rest of this is kind of up in the air. Could this be a turn for governments? Could this ensure their survival, I should say? Possibly a restructuring and a survival. Possibly. Maybe it's just too far gone. Maybe the employees all need to be fired. I don't know how that's going to look. But at this moment, that's pretty much where we are in the world. We have a lot of stuff going on this weekend, a lot of potential problems we're okay now at the moment. I do not see anybody stepping up and trying to be the next new 9. I don't see any changes happening in whatever the clock says now, 4 days, 5 days. Don't see any of that happening. Did have a little bit of disturbances over the weekend. Nothing huge, but, it could have made you feel a little upset for a little while, or people around you angry, that kind of thing. But should be all cleared out as of this morning. You should start feeling better. And that's pretty much it at this moment. I got to get back and try to figure out what the heck is going on out there.
Wow.
Make sure that there's not too much turbulence anyway, and the best way I can. So.
Okay. Well, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for them at this moment. I don't know how to feel. It's like, are they going to make good choices? We don't really know. So,
well,
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Well, we look forward to Wednesday's report, Kim.
I do too. I hope that it's good news.
I do too. Thank you, Kim.
All right. We'll see you Wednesday.
Okay. That wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record it and share it with us so we can help you share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.